Good evening, everyone, and welcome to episode 179 of Super Deluxe Gamescast for Thursday, the 12th? The 12th, right?
Yes.
It's March 12th.
Yes.
It's March 12th, yep. If you're not already aware, Super Deluxe Gamescast meets right here each and every Thursday night to talk about the latest video game news and headlines with a wide variety of panel members and guests. Now, that is what I know by heart. I don't actually have it in front of me, so all I'm going to say at this point is I'm very happy everybody's here. And sorry we weren't live last week. Everybody had the plague.
Even people who didn't go to PAX had the plague.
Yeah.
That was wild to me.
There is a lot of that going around. I didn't say this on social media, but I'll say it here. I'm actually in quarantine for COVID-19. I don't think I have it, but I was casually exposed to it, so I'm in quarantine right now. I can't leave my fucking house. But nobody needs to worry. I'm gonna be fine. Vicky's gonna be fine. Reb was sick for like like 4 days, Reb? Like
about like that.
About that. Justin is still sick.
Somehow,
I at least have been able to semi-function since like Sunday, but yeah, I'm still a bit under the weather.
I can't be sure that Justin isn't actually dead and just hasn't figured it out yet.
I mean, that
It's like
may be
Zeke
true.
operating his dead body as a puppet before he consumes
We
his
actually,
flesh.
Justin actually died, and we buried him in the pet cemetery, and now he's back to talk about Doom.
Awkward.
Sometimes dead is better.
Sometimes dead is better. Finn didn't get sick.
Yeah, he kind of did.
After
Did you-
everybody
I heard
else.
did you
Yeah.
Saki? Oh my god.
After everyone else. I was fine all through PAX.
I was
And then
sick.
I came home,
And
and the
brought
next
it to
day I was
Florida.
like, oh no.
Oh no.
But it was also very quick, and I was back on my feet in about a day. So
I mean, I
I
was about
got-
in the same boat as you.
compared to how everyone else felt, I made out all right.
Dude, I felt like
the congestion lasted a few days for me, which was annoying. But it was a really funny situation because I came back, like I started work on the Monday, and I work remote, and we have every Monday we have like a team meeting, and we got in the team meeting, and you all remember I sounded really raw because I had been doing that karaoke, right? And so my
Yeah.
voice was shot. So I get in the team meeting, and I'm like, hey guys, how's it going? And they're like, Reb, are you okay? Do you need to take a sick day? Like, are you fine? I'm like,
doing my
"No,
best Tom
I
Waits
promise I'm okay.
impersonation."
I just did really loud karaoke. I'm really not sick. And I was like, I like pushed. I was like, no, I'm fine, guys. I promise I'm fine. I don't need a day off. And then about 2 hours into my workday, I suddenly start feeling, the creeping ache? That kind of creeping ache feeling when you're
Yep.
like, oh, fuck. I know what this is. I started feeling that, and I sent a DM to my editor, and I was like, hey, so I've got some bad news. I think I actually am sick. I'm going to bang out as many news pieces as I can before this thing actually takes over. And so I did, and about 2 hours later, I was like, nope, I'm done. I'm sorry. I'm leaving. So I felt very silly because I took the next day as a sick day, and everyone was like, you weren't sick. And I'm like, and then I was sick.
I started feeling it, I think, on that Saturday night when it was a bunch of us went out to dinner. It was me, Finn, you were there, Reb, Eric Van Allen, Mike Williams,
Oh wait,
Liana.
was that the day that oh, never mind. That was not the day you led us all through the Arctic tundra without any
No.
Was this Hot Pot Day? Was this Hot
Yeah,
Pot
this is
Day?
Hot Pot Day.
Yes.
This is the day where me, Mike Williams, and Eric Van Allen all shared a flu together.
Yeah,
in
that
a
was
pot.
yeah, that was.
Or no, wait,
it took
Eric
us.
didn't get. Sorry, Eric didn't get sick. It was me, Mike Williams, and Matt Olson who all shared a sick, and Eric Van Allen was somehow immune to whatever the fuck that was. Little bitch.
But
I hope he's
I-
in chat.
I-
I hope he heard me say that.
The hot pot was good. I remember more the journey to get to the hot pot that night than I
do not
actually
remember
do the
the
hot
journey to
pot
get
itself.
to the fucking pizza.
No, oh dude, that was bad. That was. I mean, the pizza was fucking dope.
I was
though.
ready to
Like,
throw myself into the ocean.
You got to sacrifice your well-being for pizza, man.
This-
How's everybody doing tonight? All right, you know what? Let's talk about video games. You want?
I actually,
should we-
before we talk about video games, well, it's video game related. I have a surprise for everybody. I have a surprise announcement.
a surprise.
Yeah. Can I make it?
Of course.
Yeah, go.
All right, my surprise announcement. Final Fantasy VI is the best video game in the entire world. And if anybody has a problem with Final Fantasy VI being the best video game in the entire world, I will come to their house with my weed whacker, and I will fight them with my weed whacker.
The show's over now, right? Like, we're just done.
I bought the beanie, guys.
Somebody
Lena,
clip it.
clip it.
Oh,
Somebody clip it.
this makes me so happy.
Oh my god.
I bought the beanie. This was
Hey
the
John,
thing at
do you remember?
PAX.
Yeah, do you remember when she told me a secret about you and you were losing your mind?
Yes,
'cause I
Yeah,
couldn't
'cause
tell
that's
you?
what it was. I had the beanie in my pocket the whole time, and I thought about showing you at PAX, but I figured, no, I need to save this.
Okay, so
Hey Red, please tell me you use permanent ink.
Oh no, it's eyeliner. I'm gonna take it off. I have
So-
makeup wipes for that very.
so I've actually got a story about that beanie at PAX. On the
Great.
first
Oh,
day,
wait,
John
Justin,
told
hold on.
me.
Hold on, real quick, Justin. I just want to say, Reb, that's exactly what I fucking needed.
You're so welcome. I hope everyone enjoyed it.
God.
I've been
Justin-
holding on to this beanie. I bought it at PAX, and I've been waiting for this moment for like several weeks now.
Oh my god, that moisturized my skin and cured my depression.
I actually don't need to be in quarantine anymore because I'm fine now.
Great.
That was-
You all
So
heard
happy to
my
hear that.
stupid laugh. Like,
Reb, just leave the mustache there. Reb, just leave the
No,
mustache there.
It's eyeliner. I don't want eyeliner all over my
No.
face.
That was fucking great.
So-
oh my god, Justin, go ahead, bud.
So many people were buying those beanies, and then like the angry variant of it at PAX. Like there was one point where I'm like, "Hey John, where are you?" And he told me where he was. He was right around the corner. So I, of course, just look for a beanie. I go up. I have like a full conversation with somebody that does not realize I'm speaking to them because they were just somebody of the similar build and height wearing the beanie. And then I turn around and then John's like, "Oh, hey." And I'm like, "Oh, Jesus Christ."
So I'm actually I've got an announcement of my own, Reb.
Oh boy.
I am actually retiring the Gungeon beanie.
What the fuck? I just bought this.
So
$25.
so here's the thing, Reb. Like I saw a ton of people walking around with Gungeon beanies, right?
well, I might know what this is.
And I need something that is the SDGC brand. So what I've done is
Sake beanie.
had a beanie made for me in our color tone with SDGC across the front here. I should be wearing it next week.
Hey, bud, I'm not gonna knock your choice here because that's a wonderful thing. But you should have consulted us first because if you consulted us first, I would have told you get a beanie that's just sake eating your
Yeah.
head. Like that's the obvious thing to do here, right?
Can I? Do you think,
probably be a
that would
harder
work? Is
custom to
that
do.
something that would
Oh,
that would?
fuck yeah, just a big sock.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing, right?
That would presumably be a more difficult custom to make than a purple beanie with like
Hi,
the white
sock.
logo.
Look, there's sock right there.
So green and red. Hey, okay, here's my question: would
It's
the
like
beanie have
teal.
googly eyes on it? Would the beanie have the
Yes.
googly
It's
eyes
a-
on it?
Teal and
That's
red.
mandatory.
That's like an option number 2, but I do think
There's
like, the
something
purple-
to that actually.
the
There's
purple
something
with the white logo.
I'm sorry. Like I picked the one night not to wear my beanie because it's in the car. This is surreal seeing Reb wear the Gungeon beanie.
Well, I guess now that you've retired yours, I gotta fucking wear it all the
Okay,
time.
so here's my
I
question
was
though.
only
Like,
gonna use it for goofs, but geez, if you're just
So-
gonna give up,
well, here's my question though. So should I retire the Gungeon beanie
God, I
or
love
should
that sock.
I think
Should I
you
keep it?
should because it's not specific. It's not. This is probably a conversation for another time, honestly.
Yeah, this doesn't make for a good episode. We'll talk
Yeah.
this through.
There's a
some
really
other
right,
big sock
fine.
on screen.
It's
What's wrong with
lovely
that?
though.
So anyway, we've got a lot to talk about tonight. We didn't go live last week. No, I have not been supplanted as the Beanie Master. That is 100% not true. We weren't live last week. There's a lot of PAX stuff to talk about. We're going to talk about what's going on with E3. But first, I know that Reb wanted to talk about Ori and the Will o' the Wisp. So, Reb, why don't you kick that off?
Yeah, so I've actually, as I need to disclose, Microsoft actually sent me an early code for Ori and the Will of the Wisps. So I've had it for, what are we at? Like, I had it over the weekend. I think I got it on Friday. I've not beaten it yet because I am not under review pressure, thank fuck. But I have played a decent chunk of it. If you are someone who is playing, I have played up to the point where a toad gives you effectively the direction that the thing that you are going to be doing for the rest of the game. And I have done 1.5 of those things. So if that means something to you, it does. If it doesn't, then you're fine. So I know Derek's playing it. I assume we're probably going to go pretty spoiler free on here.
Yeah.
I have some really interesting feelings about that game. So I love Ori and the Blind Forest. It is absolutely one of my top 10 games of all time. I love that game so deeply and so passionately. It is so fucking good. I've been waiting for this. I have bawled my eyes out. Also, quick plug, I have an interview with Gareth Coker, the composer, going up on Games Industry Biz tomorrow. Fuck yeah! He is so fucking cool also. He's just like the raddest fucking individual. Anyway, so I was like super excited for this game, and it's so interesting because I think Ori and the Blind Forest was, I mean, I don't think there's such a thing as a perfect game, but I think in many ways it was very perfect in its completeness. It was like this very like complete beginning to end package that did so many things very well, and when you finished it, you both felt like, I both wish there had been more of that, but also I don't, because this was the game. Like, it is done. It is all these things, and those things resolved, and it was beautiful, and I'm good with it. And so I think Ori and the Will of the Wisps had a lot to live up to, and I think it is very difficult when you're coming to a sequel to a game like that, to both do something that is iterative and new, but also similar enough that people aren't bitching at you for changing the game so dramatically, but also isn't like just rehashing the same stuff and making people who have already gotten very skilled at this challenging game, making them rehash stuff that they already know how to do. I think that's very hard. I think Ori and the Will of the Wisps does not do it perfectly, but also I don't know that I could say what they could have done better. There are very heavy emotional beats in Blind Forest, and I think I'm maybe halfway through the game of Will of the Wisps at this point. I don't think it doesn't have an up-ass opening, like Up the movie, that that super emotional opening. Like I think Ori and the Blind Forest has that. I don't think Will of the Wisps does that, but I also don't think it could have.
It's
like,
more
I
a
don't think
Finding Nemo opening than a...
Yeah, I don't think there's any way you fucking replicate that. Like, I don't want them to. Like, it's fine. I'm not bawling like within the first 5 minutes, but that's okay. I don't need to be. I think it very much respects the time of the players who have already been through Blind Forest and who there's kind of a period in the opening where you don't really have any abilities and it's a little awkward, but very quickly it just starts fucking throwing the ones that you're familiar with already out at you just really quickly. And I think new players might struggle with that, so I would recommend playing Blind Forest first. But if you've already played Blind Forest, like, you will have your wall jump, you will have your double jump, you will have bash very, very, very quickly, and you will just be fucking going. And then shortly after that, it will start giving you new abilities, and then you'll have some time to master those. And I think it does that very effectively. There's some stuff that's a little bit Hollow Knight-ish in its execution, which I love Hollow Knight. I also don't think they copied Hollow Knight, because I'm pretty sure this stuff was in the works before Hollow Knight came out. I don't know that those things necessarily... I think that the whole thing with like the map maker and like a couple other like bits in terms of like
the skill shards and stuff.
The skill shards and stuff. Now that I'm about halfway through the game, I don't know that it's necessarily executed as effectively as it could be. And I only know that because Hollow Knight is also probably in my top 10 games of all time, and I think they executed those systems so perfectly. I don't really know how you could live up to that. But yeah, I genuinely really like it. It's absolutely beautiful. It's chugging a little bit on PC, but it's like fine. It's not hurting my enjoyment. What the fuck is that?
Sounds like a squeaky toy.
What is going on?
Ace has a squeaky toy he's not supposed to have.
Well, I can't be mad at him.
Hot
Gone
as
now.
shit.
I mean, I'm not going to be mad at it. I can't be mad at a squeaky
Not at a
toy.
dog.
Like, I mean, absolutely not.
My head is too fucking hot with that thing on. I guess you do it because you don't have hair.
I don't have
That's
any
fine.
hair, so like
Yeah.
it's perfect, right?
Anyway,
like it
I don't want to wear that anymore. But yeah, Derek, I'm curious as to what you think. You've been nodding along with like this little speech I'm giving. What do you think of Ori so far?
I think it's I kind of agree with you that like it's hard to follow up Blind Forest, and I think they're doing the best they can. One thing I really like is Ori and the Blind Forest was a very isolating and lonely experience. Loneliness pervades the story and the game from beginning to end, really. And it's interesting how in Ori and the Blind Forest you continue to meet characters who are not as bad as they seem, and you learn, and like that really nobody's really bad in Ori and the Blind Forest.
Right.
Will of the Wisps is very different because you start with this kind of haphazard assembled family that gets broken up in a certain way, and you have, their stories to follow on the sidelines as well as Ori's, but you're also running into a bunch of like friendly characters, and like there's these little friendly adorable little rabbit things called the Moki that you're running around and helping a lot, and there's several named NPCs that are friendly that you meet very early on.
Derek, there's a moment early in the game, and I'm trying very hard not to spoil it for people, and especially for you because I know you're not as far as me. There's a moment fairly early on in the game where you meet a large important NPC.
Yes.
And
oh my goodness.
There's a little bit of an ominous, I mean, not super ominous.
You feel
not
like you
ominous.
You should be afraid
worried.
a little bit, but it's
I'm
purely
like, is this person
a good.
not gonna like me?
Yeah.
But then they appear and they're like, "Hey, welcome to this shit," and I'm like, "Thank you for this warm welcome."
It is a game that is. I think it's in that way. It kind of explains it's at more at the extremes, right? Ori and the Blind Forest was you alone, scary forest. Everybody you meet is eventually not bad. It's just a matter of understanding what it is that's going on. I think it feels like Ori and the Will of the Wisps is very much like there are a lot of good NPCs you will meet, and there is a bad going on that is more intense. It feels like there is
a bad going on.
Yeah,
it's not a bad
I don't think it's a
thing or
bad
person. It's a bad going on, and we're not quite. I'm not quite clear yet as to if there is a who that is the bad, but there is a bad happening.
It's interesting that it is less lonely in that you have a lot more characters you're interacting with and doing like side quests with, but the feeling of loneliness still kind of works because you have this much more established family and this larger family in the beginning that is now broken up, and you have to worry about everyone's well-being. So that feeling of separation still exists. This is done in a different way.
I love that you're saying that because the game is going to do something else with what you're saying shortly.
Yeah.
I know where you are, and I am interested to hear your thoughts on it after the thing happens that does more things with that.
I actually have a question for both of you, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So I know the original Ori and the Blind Forest was a 5 to 6 hour game. If you were 6 hours, if you were taking your time, you could beat it in 4 or 5 hours. I have heard that Ori and the Will of the Wisps is a much larger game. How do both of you feel about that? Because I think there's an argument to be made that sometimes shorter is better.
I mean, I think it's still I think it's still erring on the short side.
It's a
honestly.
Metroidvania.
So,
if you breeze through it, it's not going to be long, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you're going to want to explore. You're going to want to fill in the nooks and crannies and get all the stuff on the map screen. And it feels like there's probably more side quest stuff than in the first game.
Yes, I am getting that.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, I feel like it comes down to the pacing if it feels too long. Like if Ori doesn't feel bloated with its extra content, then it's no big deal. But if it's going to be, if it stays tight and focused, even with side quests and an explorable hub, then I'm all for it.
Yeah. So to give people an idea, Ori and the Blind Forest has 3 large things that you have to do after the intro. Like if you haven't played it before, there's like kind of an intro, and then you meet the tree, and the tree is like, here are 3 things you have to do. And there are some little things that you have to do to lead up to those 3 main things, but you do the 3 main things, you do them in about 10 hours, you're done. Ori and the Will of the Wisps, or like 5-6 hours, I guess. It's not that long. It's maybe 10 hours if you wanted to percent it. Ori and the Will of the Wisps, there's a prologue, and then you do one thing, and then you go meet a character who says, okay, now you need to do 4 things. And I have so far done 1.5 of those 4 things, and that has gotten me to about, I think, 6 hours. So I'm gonna guess this is gonna be about 12 to 13 for like just completion, and then maybe like 15, 16, maybe up to 20 for like 100%ing it and getting everything, depending on how the side quests go. Also, I don't know, there could be something after those 4 things. I have no idea, but I have seen cues that indicate to me that the 4 things are the 4 things.
So the first Ori came to Switch. I've just barely dipped my toes in it because there's a lot to play right now. But it runs and looks beautifully on my Switch Lite. Like I can't believe I'm actually playing it on a handheld. I know that Ori and the Will of the Wisps has some performance issues.
Yeah, they'll get there.
I don't know why it does either. I'm gonna be real with you. It's pretty. But there are points on like the PC version where I'm seeing where stuff is getting like downscaled in the background to low resolutions, and like I'm not sure that I understand where all the performance issues are coming from. But
I am getting a vibe from little things that have been said to me from a couple of interviews I've done, a couple of interviews I've read, kind of the way it was delayed at one point, I am getting the vibe that there was a rush in January and February to finish the fuck out of this game and get it out the door. And I don't really know where the rush was, because my impression of it is that a lot of the stuff, a lot of the basic components of the play, like when I played this at E3 2018, I mean, I realized it was probably like I can hear myself, by the way. I realized that it was a vertical slice, probably. It was an area with sand. It was a sand area. I have recently played through that sand area again, just having the game. And I can still hear myself. Sorry, I don't know who that is.
I'm not sure who that is either, yeah.
I've played... Can anyone else hear me echoing?
I can't hear you echoing at all.
Oh, then maybe I just lost my mind. So I've played through the sand area again, and it is very similar to what I played at that E3. Now, I recognize, again, that was like a vertical slice, but the components were all there at the time, like the skill stuff and a lot of the different things they had me doing. So, yeah, I think there has been some kind of push at the very end to get this game done very quickly. And I know I have gotten a gajillion, because I had a review code, I have gotten a gajillion emails over the weekend that have been like, hey, don't worry, here's a list of things we're gonna fix with the day one patch, please don't freak out, please hold your reviews. I've gotten so many fucking emails, and they seem very concerned about that, and I don't know what is going on there. I hope everyone at Moon Studios is doing okay today.
So I guess my question is...
Well, hold on, Derek had his hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see that. Derek, please.
I was just gonna say, I'm wondering if it's all just behind the scenes, because I know they're using Unity, which can be fun to work with, from what I've heard, depending on how big and how complex you're going. But I also know I've heard all these things about performance issues, and I've been losing my mind because I've had 0 performance issues. And you want to know what's probably different about what I'm doing versus what most other people are doing. So I have the game installed on an NVMe drive, which is the type of like direct to the motherboard solid state storage that we're likely to see on next generation PlayStation and Xbox. And I wonder if that's really just it, is just like memory streaming. Like,
I mean,
I don't know.
Just on this like topic, this just sounds like they're using an older version of Unity, and this sounds like classic Unity stuff. Just from what I'm gathering.
Yeah, so
like,
here's what I'm experiencing.
Newer versions of Unity have fixed it, but I know sometimes updating to those newer versions can be very bad for development, and you know, Moon Studios is a rather small team, so they might not have been able to do that. Like, it just sounds like classic Unity
Microsoft
to me.
backing. I don't know. So here's what I am experiencing. My understanding is that Xbox was having worse issues, and those issues were the ones fixed with the day one patch. I don't think, and I don't know, I could be wrong on this, I do not think PC got a day one patch. The PC issues that I was having were very related to, there's weird lag whenever I loaded up the game and tried to load up my save file. Like, every single time, it just like, it takes forever, and there's a weird kind of noise in the music because it's like all of a sudden trying to load at once. And then I open the game and it's fine. But whenever I transition, so it's a seamless game, right? Like, you don't have loading screens between areas. But whenever I transition between areas, there's just this weird kind of for just like a second, and then it continues on. And it's not a big deal. It doesn't bother me because, one, I'm a person who doesn't really give a fuck about that stuff. But two, it's not affecting my gameplay any. It's not happening when I'm doing platforming. There were a couple weird issues I had when I was playing it for review. Like, there was a typo when you're playing with keyboard and mouse, which was wild to me. And I told them, I was like, this is not the correct button to be pressing for something to be happening, and you need to fix this. Yeah, it was telling me to press E to do something, and E did nothing, and I had to click. And I was like, hey, I bet nobody is testing this on keyboard and mouse, because who the fuck would play this on keyboard and mouse? I am no longer doing that. Thank you, Cam Koenig. But yeah, I was doing that. And then there's some other weird visual blips. I assume they'll be fixed.
So I guess my question is, with all of its performance issues, do we see this coming to Switch at some point, like the original game?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Eventually,
oh, God, yeah.
eventually.
They'll clean this up. Like, it is not going to persist in this state forever. They will clean it up. They will do some patches. It will make it to Switch. I don't know when. Yeah, no, it's God, I think it's a really good game so far.
It's
I'm
so
very
lovely.
excited to finish it.
So Reb, thank you so much for that. I know that
Yeah, thank you for letting me talk about
Well,
it.
of course.
I know we really want to do PAX stuff. We want to talk about that because it's timely. By the way, if anyone gave a shit about The Longing, the review embargo on that is up, and I'm going to save it till next podcast. But if you gave a shit about The Longing, come back next week.
I
We're
am
gonna
so
we're gonna
interested in that.
fucking talk about that game. I'm just gonna take the spoiler training wheels off, and we're just gonna fucking talk about The Longing.
Where you
and how
gonna go?
ridiculous
Oh
it is.
shit. Okay. All
but
right.
We'll do that
I'm
next
ready.
week. Let's talk PAX now.
I'm ready. Reb, before we go on, I just want to say thank you. I know that Ori was a very special game for you, the first one, and I know that you really wanted to talk about it.
Oh, I
and
love that game.
that was great. I loved every second of that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So PAX East. We have a lot to talk about. And before I get into any of the games, before we start talking about that, I just want to thank everybody for their support. Because of your support, because of how far you've let us come, we were able to have our first ever podcast panel at PAX East that Derek busted his fucking ass on. He did all the work. I mean, he did all of the prep. So right here in front of everybody in the chat, in front of everyone on the podcast, Derek, that panel would not have happened without you. You were the most important part of that panel because you created it. So on behalf of everybody in the podcast and everybody in chat, and from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much, Derek, for all of the hard work that you put into that. Derek makes this fucking podcast what it is, and we are so appreciative of you, Derek. Just wanted to say that.
It's accurate.
So, video games at PAX. Where do we start? We played. There was a lot of shit we played. I want to
start,
kick it
actually?
over.
Derek,
What's that?
yeah.
Okay.
Please,
I wanna talk,
of course.
when we talk about support and we talk about the panel, I want to take a moment to point out. So for those of you who have seen, the panel itself is up on YouTube and in podcast form, I believe, as well, to listen to.
Yes.
I think I did that. I can't remember because I did it all while dealing with pneumonia. But I know we also threw up 8 interviews that we did with various developers and publishers. And I'd like everybody to watch that stuff, but I also want people to look at that stuff and remember that when you, pledge on Patreon, or you subscribe here on Twitch, or you make donations in any other sense of that matter, that's what your financial support goes to doing. Like, yes, we go and we meet and we have fun with people, but like that is allowed us to book the flights and make the hotel rooms and afford, like, it goes against the cost of us doing this, so we can go and we can hook up with these developers and publishers, and we can find stuff as big as Baldur's Gate 3 and stuff as small as like a couple of the smaller indie titles we'll talk about here soon. But thank you all very much for your support. This is exactly what you're subscribing to us for, is to send us to these events and get that kind of coverage. So I greatly appreciate that, because we couldn't have been there without you all. We really could not have. If we didn't have your money, we would not be able to be
if
at
you didn't have my
PAX.
money, I'd be there doing work and being sad because no one else was there.
So, also, just while we're saying our thank yous and stuff, I also want to send out a thank you to our community member Stormageddon,
Yes,
who was
Stormy.
at PAX.
Stormy!
And Derek and I got very, very sick on day 2 of PAX. And he came in and helped Finn record and film some of the interviews. We went to meetings with us to play some of the demos and stuff. He really helped us get our coverage together. So we really want to say thank you to him. The fact that he was able to step up for me and for Derek. It meant a lot to me knowing that somebody was there and dedicated to helping us out. So just from the bottom of our hearts, thank you to Stormy.
Plus, Stormy's just a nice fucking guy.
Yeah,
like,
good
he's
dude.
just a nice guy. He's a cool,
I don't know
he's a
about
cool
all
person.
that. He's all right.
He's actually taking your job, Finn.
Nobody can do that. I won't.
No,
admit
one
it.
can do that.
That's
that's
true.
not
That is
right.
that is true. Finn is one, and I gotta say a special shout out again. I know we're all being wholesome and thanking everybody. Finn and Justin fucking killed those interviews. Like, Finn and Justin did.
I
lot
did
of those
exactly
interviews.
one interview.
But it's a
like,
big deal. It was
Justin,
your
this
first
was your
interview.
first
lot.
PAX interview, and you fucking killed it.
How many interviews
And-
did I do, Justin?
Yeah,
I
Justin.
don't know because I was delirious.
Yeah,
and
Justin.
sick.
How many interviews did Derek do, Justin? And of course, Finn is probably our most accomplished interviewer of all. And Finn's got a personality and a way about him that I wish I had.
Finn's
and so
a fucking professional.
He's our professional
Yeah.
gaming
Finn also
correspondent.
got us into some stuff that we wouldn't have been able to get into if he hadn't
did.
been turning on the schmooze. So
That is true.
we have big thank yous to Finn.
Finn
Well,
is
some-
Finn is
thank yous to
extremely
Finn.
charismatic.
Can I just say that sometimes not being an asshole about something is all you need to be?
That doesn't make any sense.
That is
So
not
weird.
untrue.
Sometimes if you just ask nicely, things can happen. And then if
I
you
prefer to
don't,
just crack my knuckles and be like, "Yo, let me."
yeah,
in."
no, that
Fucking
definitely.
Yeah,
Finn
we
on
know,
the
John.
No, but
I
like,
mean, I'll throw out there like thank you all honestly because I don't do jack shit. I have a job that prevents me from doing many things because it conflicts with a lot of the kinds of content that you all produce. So I don't get to participate in that. And while that it's a bummer that I don't get to participate, it also means that I can't really help with a lot of aspects of it. And I sometimes feel bad about that, but I still get to show up and be on the damn podcast and like revel in your glory. So thanks for doing the good ass shit y'all do. I'm proud of y'all.
We're
let's
just
talk about
proud
some
to have you
games
with
and
us.
talk about some
I love
games.
everybody. I love everybody, and I want to thank everybody. But I feel like we've thanked everybody. So, do you guys mind if I start with if I kick it off with She Dreams Elsewhere? Because I've been
Yeah,
dying to
that's
talk
what
about
we
it.
Go
really
ahead.
want to talk about.
Yeah.
So,
Davion!
Davion is the man. Like, so Davion Gooden has been working on with I think a team of like 2 other people on She Dreams
like
Elsewhere.
mostly him. It's
It's mostly him, aside from like his composer
his
and yeah,
composer and his artist.
right. For 5+ years now, and I am a huge fan of Earthbound. I love Undertale. I love Persona, and it is a small indie RPG that draws major cues from every single one of those
Yeah.
games.
Yeah.
And plus, it is also an RPG that with every single player character is a person of color, which I think is awesome. And the whole gist behind She Dreams Elsewhere is the main character is in a coma, and she is wandering through this very surreal dream world. And I played it. I played the PC demo and I played it at PAX West. And the first thing that I think of when you see that that art style, it's weird, right? Like the overworld art style is extremely Undertale. Extremely Undertale. It's very simple, 16-bit stuff.
It has
But then when you
smart use of color though, because it's like very monochromatic, except in very specific spots, and it's really cool.
which really immerses you into the whole "I'm in a dream world" thing, right?
Yeah.
Like
The art style was so fucking good. Like, there's points where the character portraits like fill the screen, and like there's such cool character designs.
Oh, they're really good.
With really neat touches of color, really good pixel art. I didn't personally play it, but I watched several other people play it. It looks really cool.
Well, and that battle system, as soon as it starts, I'm like, this is the fucking Earthbound shit I need. Like, that is, with the psychedelic backgrounds and the enemies, like, oh, I absolutely loved it. Finn, I saw you had your hand up.
Yeah. No, I just want to say I think we all get caught up in the fact that it's very Earthbound-esque and very pretty, and the music is so good, but the writing is so crisp and fun.
Yes.
And the demo was very like meta and breaking the fourth wall in some really fun ways. And I don't know if that's going to translate to the main game or if he just did that for the demo. Either way, it was very entertaining. Plus, and it must be noted, you can pet the dog.
You can.
It's very important.
And you
to
feel
know this.
better.
And it
feel
heals
better.
you. It gives you back your health.
As well
That's how you
should.
save your game. Is that the dogs?
And
That's
I just
lovely.
what I want to say one thing. We're gonna he's actually agreed to be a guest on the show with us in the coming weeks.
Yes.
Yep.
And I'm not gonna take his story from him, but when he's on, tune into that show because the story of how the game went from because last year at PAX he was showing it to people on his cell phone, and now he's where he is now. The story of how Game Pass became a thing. Look, it's incredible. This man's journey is inspiring, and his game is incredible. And everyone needs to have that on their radar. Like
Davion is
right
going to
now.
go places. After this game is finished, he's gonna be a name you're hearing about.
We
Yeah.
interviewed
No,
them. We interviewed him, by the way, and you
We
should
did.
check
That
that
is one of the
interview out
interviews.
on YouTube.
Yeah. He's really cool. I'm trying to find, I want to shout out the music in that game specifically. I'm trying to find like a clip of one of the battle themes. I can't find one anywhere on YouTube. Y'all, if you get a chance to play that demo, man, just play the demo. Like, if for nothing else, just to listen to the hot bops. Like, that music. I was like, I was sitting there with like my controller. I was like, fuck yeah, I was like tapping my foot. I was like, yeah, I'm here. I'm into this. It's so good.
Not to port bag or anything, but I hope this comes to Switch because this would be a perfect Switch game.
So I just want to point out this is a picture of his booth, and what's that in the corner?
Oh
that he
man!
hung up on the booth.
Oh wait, what is that? Wait, hold on. Oh, look at that!
It's his child of Saki.
Look at that.
Saki that he hung up on his booth.
He did.
He was so excited. I love it when people get really hyped about getting a Saki.
The socks are picking up, man. People are getting more and more excited.
People are getting amped about those socks.
How do I display a sock in a trophy case asking for a friend?
That was harmonics, right? Harmonics was
like,
really funny.
I just want to point out the Saki that we gave Cory Barlog is still sitting on his wall.
It sure is.
It's a good award.
But
yeah, no, She Dreams Elsewhere is really good. I have an interview with him too. It's not up yet, but it will be up at some point on GameHistory.biz when I have time to get through all my fucking PAX East interviews. But yeah, he's a really cool person. That game, I'm so excited for this game.
Quick question, Rob. Did you ask whether he preferred cake or pie?
No, I didn't.
No, that's a
well,
you
then
thing.
I guess you're not a real journalist. Sorry.
I am a real journalist because
she's
I hate
literally
video
the
games
only
and
real
want to
journalist
destroy
here.
them.
It is true. She is part of it.
I'm trying to destroy all video games.
Rev just wants to censor all the games and destroy them all. Yeah, she's a true games journalist.
We're advancing our feminist agenda to eliminate
just keeping people out of the industry, Rev. Just keeping people out of the industry.
Fucking bullshit. All right. Anyway.
So I got to tell you right now before we move on, She Dreams Elsewhere was my PAX East game of the show. Like by a country mile. Like it was
a top three for me.
I can't wait. I'm so excited.
It might have been mine too. I'm now like thinking about it and I'm like, yeah, I think it might have been. I granted I don't play a lot of games on the show floor, but it was real good. It was real good.
There was another game that I'm super interested in, and I got a chance to play it, and I want to kick this one over to Justin because it involves a shark, an ocean, and a lot of really weird bullshit.
I'm so jealous that you got to play this.
So this was the first game I got to play at PAX East. And it also ended up being my first ever interview. Was Maneater. And
what a great first interview. My God.
This game, like, it was kind of like a show floor darling. Like, this game had long lines for it. Okay, I need to just describe the sheer concept of it because I think the way it's presented and like the way it works is just as important as, the core, it's a shark game. So basically, it's presented almost as like a TLC documentary about Skinny Pete, who is a shark hunter.
Oh shit, that's funny.
I love it.
And he's searching for the shark that killed his dad. His dad was a prolific shark hunter.
Oh my God, it has a fucking plot.
Absolutely.
Oh yes, it does,
Reb. My dad.
Reb, wait till you get. Wait till I finish explaining what happens at the end of the tutorial, because this game's got some story.
Justin, I don't know if you want to spoil it. That's a swerve that I think people should experience.
I mean, I think it's
the tutorial.
It's like the core.
I fucking want to know.
Okay, and then as Skinny Pete, by the way, who is like super Cajun. I have to throw that out there. The whole game takes place in like Gulf of Mexico.
All right.
And so he gets an alert that there's a shark attack going on the beaches nearby. So they go right for it, and then that's when you start playing, and you play as this large female great white shark that is attacking the people there. And the tutorial is just them giving basically shark facts as you play through, but like the shark can air dash. The shark can air dash. It can grab a turtle and then just like spin its tail and like launch the turtle flying as a projectile. So you play as this shark and you go around terrorizing the people for a while, and then at the end, the shark gets caught by Skinny Pete, and he finds a piece of his father's harpoon in it, but it's not the shark that killed him. So he cuts the shark open, and the shark was pregnant. And the little pup shark falls out. And he can't kill the baby shark because it's too young. So he cuts it to mark that shark for when he gets older. Baby shark then bites his arm off and escapes into the water. You are playing as the baby shark, trying to eat enough stuff to get big enough to take down Skinny Pete.
Real talk, the fact that he said the phrase baby shark and no one replied with
No, it's
Wow,
stuck.
I wasn't thinking
I-
about that till you put it in my fucking head, Finn.
You're
Thanks.
welcome.
So the core gameplay is you're causing chaos as a shark. The more stuff you eat, the bigger you get, the
It's
more
so
you
good.
evolve, the more abilities you get. And in the interview, they teased that there are abilities that aren't quite natural.
Oh no,
Right,
no, dude!
yeah.
Shark
There
has
was-
a fucking lightning charge.
there was
His
a- yeah,
lightning
there was a
dash.
Bullshit, but also not.
There was
Yeah.
a brief clip of the shark with electric powers.
Yeah.
Like,
Hell
like-
yeah!
Like so
The shark can fucking air dash.
it's like it's kind of a janky game, but it is very fun, and I was laughing the whole time. It's a really good time. It's out in May on PC, PS4, and Xbox. They said they're hoping for a Switch version later in the year, so it's gonna be a pretty accessible game. I think it actually comes out on the same day as The Last of Us Part 2,
That poor
which is
fucking
kind of an
game.
interesting
Poor Last
counter.
of Us never had a chance.
So I do want to say,
But like, check it. You guys need to check this game out because like it's like hardcore Goose Game.
I mean,
Like,
it's jank as fuck. Let's not.
oh yeah,
let's,
it is
yeah,
janky,
like it's,
but it's
But
It's
it's jank
super
in
fun.
the best way.
yeah. Like I don't want to play this game where the shark can't air dash. Like yeah. So you're just going around causing chaos as this shark to get your revenge and get big.
I am
And
so
it's
happy that this game exists. I am so happy because okay, so real talk, my ex is really into sharks. So for like 5 years I was inundated with shark facts. And this was not an obnoxious obsession, like he
Okay.
cared about like conservation and shit. So I have like a mild investment in like caring about sharks. I mean, not like super strong because he was the one who cared about sharks, not me. But I'm like, yeah, cool, glad we got a shark game. I love that there is this juxtaposition of devs who, it sounds like from the way you describe it, give a fuck about accurate shark facts, but also don't give a fuck at the level that we're making a game about a shark, we're gonna give it fucking lightning powers. Obviously, real life sharks do not have lightning powers. We don't give a shit. Let's make our shark really cool.
By the way,
I love that both of these things exist in the same universe. It makes
the
me so
trailer
happy.
that they were showing straight up had the stats on how many humans kill sharks
Yeah,
a year, and then
seen
how
that.
many sharks kill humans. Then it's like, it's time to even the
It's like a goof, but it's like grounded in kind of this reality. See, I mean, the thing is, right? Like there are. This is the dumb thing that I know now, right? Is that there are a lot of misconceptions about sharks, right? And they're just like, you know, these kind of like aquatic creatures who are trying to do their own fucking thing, and we keep like poaching them for shark fin soup and a bunch of other bullshit stuff. This is great. This is bullshit in a great way. I love it.
And this was after we had finished the interview. But one little fact is all the sharks in the game are female.
Of course.
Because they forgot to put the extra fins that male sharks would have. So they're like, well, guess
Hilarious.
we just have all female sharks.
Hilarious.
I did get I did get one of the social media guy to say hashtag feminism hashtag girl boss after the interview as he was talking about that fact. So like we
Really
were definitely
feminist
having fun
sharks.
with it.
But
Fucking
yeah,
shit
like this game just takes what you think the concept of a shark game could be and just cranks up the silliness. It's a lot of fun. I think people should really check it out. Please check out our interview. It's on our YouTube.
Yep.
Um,
Justin's first PAX interview.
My first ever interview. And And it was the first game I played at PAX, and it was a really good time. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Finn, what is something you played at PAX that really left an impression on you?
Dude, I kind of want to let everyone else go because I was the one that didn't get sick, and I had the most time on the floor. I have so many games I want to talk about.
I've got a good single one I want to shout out that I don't think anyone else
Okay,
can shout out.
go ahead, Derek. Yeah.
We had an appointment with a game called Ambition that I thought was very fun.
Minuet and Power?
Oh yeah,
Yes,
no,
yes.
I played that.
I love
played
talking
that.
to that developer.
He
Yeah,
rules.
no, that was
Yeah.
great.
He dressed the fuck up.
So we didn't get to see Luther until I think the second day, and he was like, "I'm not doing that again. It was too much."
I got
he did it the
I got a
third
picture of him all dressed up on the first day.
He did it the third day.
But
That's funny.
But yeah, so Ambition is a it's a visual novel with like randomized kind of roguelike elements to it.
Yeah.
Which is a really interesting idea that like certain elements of it won't necessarily be relied upon, and there are a lot of flags and triggers that won't necessarily happen in the same order, so there's a lot of different stuff you've got to balance, and it's meant to be much more replayable than a lot of other visual novels are, and it's set right in the time frame of like the French Revolution. And I just gotta say, the writing is very fun. I love the artwork. The artwork is so good. The character design work is so good. The character posing is like Phoenix Wright level of good at expressing character in a minimal amount of information.
There was one part where Derek and I were talking to him about character design and like posing and stuff, and like one character showed up on
motherfucker.
screen, and both of us were like, "Oh, look at this asshole!" And like the developer loved it because that was the exact like reaction
both of them
I know what you're
described it
talking about.
separately.
It was that guy who turned out to be a smarmy dick,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
he
The way
approached me in the
both-
tavern. He was like, "Milady, excuse." He was a French incel.
Yeah,
Is what
the
he was.
writer and the programmer both separately explained that character was designed to look like if the phrase "well, actually" was a
Yep.
man, and I
Yeah.
loved
I got that
that.
anecdote too.
Yep.
But yes, I don't think visual novels are everyone's thing, but
It's real good.
like
So-
it's polished. It seems fun. It seems funny.
I do want to add to what Derek said. The thing that I enjoy, and again, I have an interview with Luther as well. I don't know when the fuck it's going up because I got a shit ton of shit to write, but it will go up eventually. It's called Ambition, a Minuet and Power. But one of the other things he said that I go into in the interview with him, or he goes into, I guess, is that this game is like gay in various
Yes,
ways,
it
and
sure
it
the
is gay in
fuck
various
is.
ways. And I was like, okay, so and this is like me, like I'm bi, I like understand like at least some historical context here. Obviously, gay people have existed for just fucking ever. Like this is not a brand new trend or anything. But I'm like, okay, so the kind of I think impression is maybe that in ye olden times, gay people were suppressed or whatever. So what has happened here? Like, what have you done? And he had talked a lot about in the interview up to that point about how grounded in historical fact this game tried to be in various ways. And he like delved into really gay shit, like gay historical shit, like really good stuff, to make this grounded in like historicity, but also, still like give those options. And, surprise, it turns out people were openly gay back in the day in like whatever French time period this
Oh yeah,
was.
absolutely.
You mean we didn't
yeah,
invent
sure.
it in the
And it
50s?
both had unique challenges. Well, unique challenges. It had challenges that we can identify with today, but also was acceptable in certain ways. And it's just, it was cool to hear him talk about that. And it turns out that whole argument of, no, it's historically accurate, we don't have any gay people, we don't have any brown people, is fucking bullshit,
Yeah.
everybody, if you didn't know.
Absolutely, 100%. No, that was far more common during the French Revolutionary period than people realize. Me being a student of history, yeah, absolutely, you're 100% correct, Reb. And I'm glad that the game, having played it, Reb, you said you had some hands-on time too, right?
I had a very minimal enrollment. I actually had, and this is in no way to indict the game because it was a demo on a PAX East show floor. Mine bugged out very early on, and I was not able to continue. So I didn't get a super large amount of hands-on time with it. But I don't say that in any way to like damn the game. Again,
Sure.
demo on a PAX show floor. I have infinite sympathy for just things going wrong.
So I will say that, as Derek and Justin were watching me, I was the one playing it. Visual novels generally aren't my thing. I do love Phoenix Wright. I love Phoenix Wright. But that's really the only visual novel I've ever really been able to get into. As I played Ambition, two things jumped out at me. One, the art style is striking. It's a very, very, very beautiful, very beautifully drawn game. And the music is, obviously, I don't think you guys could hear the music, could you? Because I had the headphones on. The music is very, very appropriate for the period. It sounds authentic. I did notice a lot of glitches and bugs. My game didn't bug out the way Rebs did, but I did notice text was missing. The cursor would miss sometimes. Sometimes text would be halfway hidden by the it was very
early.
buggy. But
it's in development.
But what I was gonna say, but also I get the sense this game is not coming out next week or anything, so there's plenty of time to.
He said that they specifically don't want to talk about like a release even window, because Humble, who's publishing, which I didn't even know Humble published. But,
that's a surprise.
Yeah, but Humble is basically telling them don't talk about a release window. You need to take the time that you need. Which admittedly is easier to do with something like a visual novel than something really big. But I also like, and this is just a shout out to Luther and his team, but like they were talking about like stuff like mobile, and we were talking about the difficulty of translating a visual novel to mobile because of the needs for the different needs for accessibility on like a phone screen compared to like on a laptop screen. And I thought that was very interesting to find somebody who is very mindful of things like text size and interface and making sure, hey, it turns out that you can't just take a visual novel and throw it on a phone screen, because then something as simple as the text being too small to read,
right?
As it's
you start getting into a Fire Emblem situation,
right? You get into like, how do people meaningfully navigate a tight interface? It's nice that to see developers talk about that stuff and acknowledge that stuff and be mindful of it in their decisions. It's cool.
The other thing I'll say is I would love to have Luther on the podcast at some point, by the way. Like I think Luther would be.
We can add him to the list. I'm about that.
I think he'd be an extremely interesting guest. There was one more game that I wanted to give a quick shout out to. I didn't get the chance to play it, but visually and aesthetically, this is exactly what the fuck I'm looking for. Star Renegade. Star Renegade looks.
That game is fucking gorgeous.
That game looks fucking sick. It's a tactical RPG. It's on the face of it, it's a tactics game. But when you get into skirmishes with enemy units, it literally goes.
Let me talk about Star Renegades.
Hold on, Finn. Let me just say this real quick. It goes fucking full Octopath Traveler.
To say at the moment?
And it's the shit. What's that?
Do you think Finn might have something to say at the moment? I can't tell.
I'm not sure he does. Finn, we can pass Finn up. He's fine. I don't. Finn, go ahead and talk Star Renegade, dude.
Okay, so Star Renegades, which if you go back to our YouTube channel, we interviewed them last year. And
you're gonna rub that shit in my face, aren't you, Finn?
So unlike John, I played this game last year and was blown away back then. And I don't think you understand. So the game was originally supposed to come out in October, and then they completely overhauled the UI and the graphics engine and everything about it. And when I played it again this year, I was expecting just to go say hi to the people and be like, the game has completely changed. It's so good. The battle system is filled with different like tactical options and strategy. And then when you pull off the moves, the fluid animation, it's all done like a parallax style, I think is the correct terminology. They've completely redone the overworld. They've now introduced like choices you can make that'll influence it. And then there's like roguelike elements, because if your characters die, their kids become the next wave of soldiers as you try and take down this
kind of like Rogue
space
Legacy
empire. Similar, yes. Except the game is, oh my god, and the game is so well wrten and animated.
It's just so beautiful, Finn. It's so gorgeous.
There is a robot called Justin, J5STN -TN, and he is so beautifully animated. Oh my god.
Very expressive, very
Star
fun.
Renegades. See, Star Renegades did not get a Saki because they got one last year, and I try and keep it one per game.
And it's coming to Switch. It's coming to
Switch. Look, Star Renegades is going to be a Game Pass game, so if you have an Xbox or a PC, you really don't have an excuse. But it's also tailor-made for the Switch, like all games are nowadays, in my mind. So Star Renegades is incredible. Let me know when I can start rattling off a bunch of other great games people should keep an eye on.
Let me make sure, Reb, did you have anything from the PAX floor that you wanted to talk about?
I have a list. If you give me like 2 minutes, I will just go down the list real quick and do like 2 sentences about each one because
sure,
again,
please.
I don't go for a ton of gameplay.
Yeah.
So Steve Dreams Elsewhere is number 1. Red Lantern, dogs, sledding, great. Lindsay Rostel, great game. You can pet all of the dogs as much as you want. Survival, really cool fucking game coming to Switch. Timberline Studios, Red Lantern, very good. Calico, published by Whitethorn Digital. It's a game where you run a cat cafe. There's just cats fucking everywhere. You can ride a cat while holding a cat with a cat on your head and a cat on the head of the cat you're riding. The cat you're riding is huge, by the way. It's not like a tiny cat. If that doesn't sell you on the game, I don't fucking know what
What
will.
was this one called?
Calico.
Calico? This sounds like a game I would enjoy.
Forest Cathedral is a game about. I have this on this. I didn't pull it up. It's a thriller game that's based on the real life. Oh fuck! I'm gonna skip that one and come back to it. Minuet Power, Animal Crossing. I played for like 5 minutes. It's just more Animal Crossing. I don't know how you fuck that up. It's really, really good. The booth is beautiful. Disc Room for like 2 seconds.
Yes.
I want to talk about.
Justin was fucked
Okay,
up on that
I'll
game.
pause Disc Room. We'll come back to Disc Room. Floppy Nights. I went and played that one. It's like tactics, but you have like deck building. I'm good with both of those things. It was actually hard. Like I lost once during the demo, which surprises me because usually demos are like, yeah, easy shit. No, Floppy Nights good. If you like either deck building or Fire Emblem, go play Floppy Nights. Great idea. That one I think is being developed or published by Rose City Games. I can't remember which one. I think published.
Oh, we love the people at Rose City
might
Games.
be developed.
Great
Rose
team.
City Games good. They're also
Yeah.
doing Garden Story, which I played at PAX West, and Garden Story fucking good.
And still working on Cat
I think Garden
Lady.
Story is published by Rose City, and Floppy Nights is developed by. I don't fucking know. Floppy Nights. Rolling Hills was very early in development. It looked like Rolling Hills is a game where you make sushi and explore a town very like Stardew Valley kind of style. It's like a business kind of sim where you like put together like an automated sushi thing, but then you also explore the town and talk to people and make friends. Sushi, friendship, colorful animal characters, good. Rolling Hills, a great game. Evergreen Blues, I just had an interview go up on GamesIndustry.biz about Evergreen Blues. It is a game that is 6 songs, and you choose the lyrics of the songs, and then it sings them at you. It's these 2 characters singing to one another. You can play it co-op. It is literally just singing songs. There isn't, like, if you're looking for, like, gameplay, that's what it is. It's just making these songs. But it is beautiful and heartfelt and has, like, emotional impact. And if the idea of just making, like, 6 songs... It's also free, so you lose nothing. But it's out on Steam now, I think. Evergreen Blues, it's free. Go play that. 2 more. Armed and Gelatinous. Armed and Gelatinous is the most arcade... Okay, are we coming back to that one?
No, I'm just that's a fun. I played that.
Okay,
last
super
year.
arcade game. You're in the future where the world has disarmed itself and shot all of its weapons into space, and these weird space blobs have discovered the caches of weapons. And you play as these space blobs. You can move and you can dash and you can pick up guns, and then you can shoot the guns. And you're a blob, and so the guns like stick out of you at different angles. And when you hit the button, you just shoot them all at once. And so the game is just floating around in space and shooting people with these random guns you've picked up. I don't normally like games with guns, but this is fucking hilarious. Also, it's an arcade cabinet in select arcades, and I have an interview coming up with them that's about why arcades can be fucking mainstream. It has a whole bunch of different game modes. I played like 2 of them. It's fun as shit. It's really good. Last one, Renane. It's a platformer. I didn't get a ton of the context behind this game, but it's a really like smooth platformer with some bopping music. You play as just this character with this little sword, and you run around and you hit things with, like, if you like kind of like Shovel Knight style pixel art and platformers and characters with very quirky dialogue, like I think if I remember right, like the shopkeeper's a squid. There's a platforming side quest I did that involved finding mice. Like if you just look at it, like if you just look up Renane, Renaine, you will look at like a GIF of that game and you will immediately know if it is a game for you or not. Sorry, really quick. Forest Cathedral. I want to get it right because it's like a historically grounded game, and I want to make sure I get names right. Rachel Carson. It's like retelling the story of Rachel Carson, who, sorry, again, I want to make sure I get my facts right because I have an idea in my head of what it is. I want to make sure it's right. So Rachel Carson was this nature writer who she wrote Silent Spring. Fucking yeah, she wrote Silent Spring. It's all about the misuse of DDT, but it's basically a thriller that is grounded in her life story. It's very strange, and it goes directions I didn't expect. Like there's a weird like platforming game kind of at the heart of it, but I think it is going to be very good, and I'm curious to see how far it goes as it goes like further into development. Anyway, so those were all the games that I played at PAX except for Disc Room, which we are going to talk about. Carry on.
I have one thing to add, Finn and Reb, real quick. I can't actually talk about it. I'm just telling people that I will talk about it on Monday. I had an appointment to play Trials of Mana. I played it on both PS4 and Switch. I am under embargo until Monday, but please, on Monday, look forward to my thoughts on what I played across both platforms.
All right.
Okay, cool.
Do we want to do Disc Room since?
Let's talk
Sure.
Disc Room.
Let's do Disc Room. I've got a couple other games I want to talk about,
Yeah.
but Disc Room is something I think a lot of us played and really liked.
Let me intro Disc Room by saying my game of the year in 2018 was this little top-down kind of top-down Zelda-like game called Minute. Minute is made by four people. Their names are, I'm making sure I'm getting them right before I say them, Jan Willem Nijman, or JW, Kitty Callis, Jikio Kallio, and Dominic Johan. I think that's correct. Four people who did not crunch to make their game, they have proudly said, which is true. They did not crunch to make Minute. Minute is a wonderful game. It was my game of the year in 2018. The four have gotten together again, and they've made a little game called Disc Room. Disc Room is a game where you are a character who enters this like facility of some kind, and everything is just fucking saw blades. And you
Buzzsaws everywhere.
Your thought is, okay, avoid the saw blades, right? And then the first time you die to one in a room, it's a square room, there's saw blades everywhere, you have like a little list in the corner of basically achievements. And they're hard, they're not like fucking impossible. They're things like, survive for 10 seconds or die to every different kind of disc. And they're specific to that room. And there's 3 different achievements for each room, and whenever you accomplish one of those achievements, one of the doors, because it's a square room with an entrance on every side. There's the one you came in, and there's 3 more closed doors. One of the doors opens, and when that door opens, you can go to the next room, and that next room has a different pattern of saw blades and a different set of achievements that you have to accomplish. And you keep moving through these rooms trying to collect achievements until you eventually come to a boss room, finish that boss, and you move on. It is delightfully simple. Your commands are move and dash. That is it.
And you have to unlock the dash. Like, the dash isn't even you start with.
Yeah, it is so simple.
Can't imagine playing it without the
either
dash.
avoid saw blades or get hit by saw blades. Those are the 2 things you do in this game, and it is good as shit.
So this game, I had seen the announcement I think it was like the week of PAX when it was announced by Devolver. And I wasn't really into that trailer. I got hands-on with this game. I am so fucking excited for this
I remember
game.
you gushing about it.
I'm actually playing it in the background of the interview that we have up. And I was trying not to be like, oh shit, oh fuck, like loudly in the back of our interview.
That's on brand.
It was like, the game is just such tight controls, really simple, clear art style, awesome music. They actually had a pretty nice like speaker that they had hooked up for the demo that we had. It was a lot of fun.
It's really good.
I'm really excited for this. I think people are really gonna dig it.
It's so easy to understand, and I think that's what I loved about Minute too. It's just a very simple, basic idea. Run around, dash. Either hit or don't hit saw blades. Like that's literally it. And within that, like that's what I think the Minute team and now the Disc Room team is so good at. They're good at taking these very simple ideas, like 60 seconds to do a thing, or run around with saw blades. Really simple ideas, and iterating on them in just this variety of complex ways. They are so good at it.
And I love that this is now their second game and they still don't have a team name. They're
Yeah.
just
No, they're
the 4
JW,
people.
Just the
Kitty,
4
Yukio,
people.
and Dom. That's their team.
I tried to to trick them into giving us a name.
Yeah, it didn't work out
but
too well.
Didn't work out too well. No, so man, Disc Room is so good, but I would like to jump into another one that I know someone else can talk about before I jump into the ones I think only I played. And it's one of my favorite games of the show. I'm not quite sure if it is my favorite, but Ghost Runner. I know.
Yes, this was the other one I really want to talk about. Well, I've got one other one that I really want to talk about, but you guys know what that. But yes, This is of the smaller stuff I found on the floor. This one is so cool.
So Ghost Runner is the quick elevator pitch is, what if Mirror's Edge was also Cyberpunk 2077 and was
It's Mirror's Edge, but you play as Genji from Overwatch.
I love this. The what made it so good was the fluidity of everything. It was all about momentum and being fast paced. Anything else died in one hit, or you died in one hit, and you had like a Max Payne bullet time style dash move that you could do. And the key to making this game so good, because they definitely made an emphasis on it being difficult, is that
this game was so hard, guys.
This game was supposed to be so hard that when I beat the demo, the creative director of the game came and expressed shock that I was able to complete the demo so quickly, which made me feel good. But the key to making it work so well is the key to like games like Disc Room or other games of that ilk is that when you die, a single button press and you're back in. There was no load time. Because games like that, there's nothing more frustrating. Even if it was just a second of load time in between tries, it would add up and get frustrating. And I really appreciate when the game's technical design allows for that instantaneous, just one more try.
Another comparison to Disc Room that I have is like, you know, people talk about like that flow state or when you get like in the zone with a game. And like with Disc Room, that was something that happened almost instantly. The same thing happened to me with Ghost Runner. All of a sudden, I got my hands on this game, and this is a game I've been looking out for a while just because I thought it was gorgeous when the trailer, and I'm like, Cyberpunk Ninja game? This sounds like something I'll enjoy. And I didn't know it was going to be at PAX. I was just wandering around, and I found the booth. But it's like instantly you get hands on and you are wall jumping, you are double jumping, you're air dashing. You're doing stealth katana attacks, but not slowing down at all. Like, it's so much fun and it's such a blast. I'm really excited for this game. It's been really flying under the radar. Even the initial announcement, I don't think got a lot of
I'd never heard of it
attention.
before you guys talked about it.
It's so cool. Check it out, because like the trailers have a lot of style and stuff too. Like the art style, this game is pushing like a lot of high-end Unreal Engine 4 effects, really good character modeling, tons of detail like in your suit and your sword and stuff. But they still also make it so that it's really clear like what you can jump off of and where you're jumping to and everything. It was really good. I liked it a whole lot.
Justin and I also played a game together completely randomly. We just got sat down to play it. It's a very simple game. It's up to 4-player twin stick co-op shooter called It Came from Space and Ate Our Brains, and it's very simplistic art style. You're just shooting at a never-ending swarm of pink aliens as you upgrade guns and get different items and try and make it through a level. It was a very simple game, but you know what? It was a fun way to kill 15 minutes.
It was really fun. Like we played it couch co-op, which they said was a high priority for them, and I think that's probably going to be the way to play that game. Like, you know, we were side by side. They had a couch in the middle of the show floor that we were sitting on. You know,
I hope they were Lysol on that couch.
Well, who knows what happened, but no, you just play. I think you're just basically like some green block dudes, and you're shooting at pink alien slugs.
Yep.
And then, you know, as your score goes up, you can buy upgrades, and then you take out the big alien egg at the end of the level. But it was really fun. It was very like Housemarque style.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, no, I love their shit. Yeah.
Twin stick shooter. We had a lot of fun with that.
So I see Finn with his arm up.
Yes. So no, just like Reb, I just want to like rattle off my remaining games with like a couple sentences or so.
Please.
Man, this was a stacked PAX.
There was a
and
lot
I
happening.
So I'm going to start with the biggest one, which was Fuser. Harmonix's surprise debut at the game. It's what if DJ Hero was good in my head, and it's so simple and it works so well, and it's their first game that doesn't really rely on a giant peripheral to work, and it's coming to the Switch, and I can just picture playing this game on the go, and whenever a demo comes out, play it. Fuser blew my mind because I don't care about DJing.
Can I just mention that this booth that they had for Fuser was the coolest goddamn booth I have ever seen. They had a giant statue, like screens everywhere, fog machines, sparks. Like
that's what I was wondering what the fuck that was.
Fuser is genuinely the game of the show that I passed and wished I had made an appointment for and did not. Like that if I could go back and do one thing over, I would make a fucking appointment.
Just do what we did and go, hey, I heard you guys are really cool. Do you happen to have a spot?
I know the PR guy on that one. I went over there to the booth to say hi to him at the end of the show and just be like, hey, you're here. Nice to see you. And he was like, I could have just gotten you in. And I'm like, I'm literally getting on a plane in 5 minutes. But like, goddamn, I should have.
All right. We also played Foregone, and I made sure that Derek got a chance to try this game. Foregone is basically what if Dead Cells, but instead of procedurally generated roguelike, it was a actually handcrafted, like story-based game.
I am iffy on this one, man.
Oh, you are a fool,
I liked what I played
friend.
quite a bit.
Yeah, but it seems super derivative of Dead Cells.
It is actually very not, which you would know if you played it.
I'm basing this solely off of what I saw, but
I don't think derivative is a bad way to describe it. It is very reminiscent of Dead Cells.
Oh, it's very. But I
greatly enjoyed what I played, and more importantly, I think the idea of potentially what you can do with a game that has that kind of aesthetic and combat system, but is handcrafted rather than a roguelike.
I mean,
I'm just very interested in what they do with like level design and shit like that. You know, I think there's a lot of potential for that.
The worst part of Dead Cells for me was the procedurally generated aspect of it, and so the second you're like Dead Cells plus real game to me in my head, like I am in. So
it felt like there might be
Metroidvania
style
elements. Dead Cells is a real game.
Saying it's not a real game. It's just not It's not going to be. Roguelikes are not everybody's.
They're usually not mine.
See, I like Dead Cells despite its roguelike nature.
Yeah, same.
Like that's basically how that works for me. I played Pathless, which is the new game from the creators of Abzu and people behind Journey. They're definitely their most game-like game. It has a combat system. It has a progression system, but it's all about momentum and shooting off your arrows at these targets to regain your speed and your ability to fly with your eagle. Oh, this game was something special. Justin looked like he had something to say.
There's just two other games I want to talk about when we get the chance. That's all.
Okay. I think
I was just agreeing with you. That game looked cool.
One of my other favorite games of the show was Fall Guys by Devolver and Mediatonic. The 60-player, everyone goes until it's like what if Battle Royale, but everything was a game out of Wipeout or Ninja Warrior, where you play these little like bean characters. It might not be my favorite game of the show, but it was hands down the most fun game of the show. All I could think of when I was playing this was we need to dedicate community game nights to Fall Guys.
Fall Guys?
A Fall Guys community game night would blow my mind. The game was so much fun. Let's see, I'm going down my list. One of the games that got a surprise Saki was a game from All In Games called Fort Triumph. It's if you know me, you know I love my strategy RPGs, my tactical-based combat games.
No, I never would have guessed that.
Yeah, no. So what if you take that and their big twist was it's a fantasy RPG, tactical RPG, but with a physics engine that lets you use the environment to your advantage. So you can have your mage cast a whirlwind spell on a tree, knocking that tree onto an enemy, causing additional damage. You can use it in all kinds of really fun, innovative ways that used of. And Justin played it.
I was so bad at this game. Like, well,
Justin kept apologizing. He's like, I don't play games like this.
They hadn't really explained all the like mechanics to me, and they're like, well, why aren't you just knocking over those trees? And I'm like, I didn't know I could knock over trees. The game was cool. It was neat. It was fun. I was very bad at it, but it was a cool game.
I only have two more. One is Phantom Brigade. It's a mech-based combat tactical RPG this time. What happens if Front Mission had, instead of a turn-based grid type system, it's turn-based, but you plan out your moves in real time, and you can see how your moves will play out on a timeline. And then you can move along that timeline and interact with how you can. Yeah. So basically, you move yourself, and you can see how the enemies will move at the same time, how they're going to attack, how they're going to react, and you can build your tactics around knowing what's going to happen. And because friendly fire is a thing, you have to be really careful. Things can get really chaotic. That game was a huge surprise. Loved that one. And finally, Kit Fox Games are very well known right now because of the upcoming Boyfriend Dungeon.
Dungeon!
But that's not the game I'm talking about, because they have another game coming out that I think deserves equal praise, and it's a game called the Lucifer Within Us.
Oh yeah.
And it's a murder mystery style game. Think Phoenix Wright, but instead of courtroom, as you talk to people, they're giving you their story, they're giving you their timeline. You can then go along their timeline and look for the inconsistencies of their story based on the evidence that you collect around you. And it's done up in this like crazy religious medieval kind of like fantasy setting, or maybe even sci-fi. I don't really know how to.
It's got a very like not exactly Warhammer 40K, but it's like kind of in the way that it blends like fantasy, sci-fi, and like hyper religion.
You know what it reminds me of graphically, just the art design? It reminds me of Supergiant games like Pyre and Transistor.
Yeah.
That's the kind of character design vibe I got. And that game tickled every part of my brain that likes things. It was like, hey, you know all that stuff you love? We threw it all in one game, and it's coming out whenever. Who knows? But that is my breakdown of all the games. And then I got to see the behind-the-scenes thing of Baldur's Gate 3. But that's not particularly special because they streamed that live for everyone to see. It's just I also got to see it.
We also got to interview them.
We sure as fudge did.
Yeah.
Speaking of Boyfriend Dungeon, by the way, put Game Dad in Boyfriend Dungeon. That's all I'm saying. Justin, you said you had two games you want to talk about.
Yeah, so I have two games. One of them I played at the Annapurna booth called The Artful Escape. This game was really cool.
this.
This game, it's kind of like a 2D platformer rhythm game combo, but you play as this teenage kid in the 70s who dreams of being like a prog rock star. And so like he's basically dreaming in like the album, like kind of like crazy album art of the era. So he has like his magic guitar, and he's trying to like the demo was trying to get to a specific venue to play his show. And so as he moves through this really surreal environment and plays his guitar, when you play your guitar in the right spots, the environment reacts to you. So there was like these like large crustacean creatures that were like growing out of the ground, coming out of the ground and like moving in time with the music and stuff as he jammed on his guitar while going around, and then you like slide and play your guitar down the hill. And then you had a few encounters that were basically kind of like Simon Says rhythm game things, with the end one being you performed at this very exclusive club that has nobody in it because that's how exclusive it is. But it was really cool. It was a really charming little game. The music was fun. The artwork is gorgeous. And I really enjoyed it. I mean, I've been a big fan of basically everything that Annapurna has
put out. Yeah, I was going to say, you had me at Annapurna Interactive. So.
They're on a roll.
Yeah, so that game was fun. And then the next game, small little indie game. tucked in the corner of the show that I found. It's actually out next week. It is called Doom Eternal, and
I've never heard of this.
Yeah, but joking aside, like, I played a demo of the tutorial, and I'm a big fan of Doom 2016. I love the Doom games. I have played a lot of 2016. It's probably one of my most replayed games of this generation. So, I played part of the tutorial, and, like, the concept of cranking it up to 11 for a sequel is underselling
I
Doom
was
Eternal
waiting for you to
by
play
quite-
this. After playing it last year, Justin, I was waiting for you to play this.
So, like, there's more. I played a tutorial level that I don't even think I fully finished in the time limit that we had. And in that, there was, like, more environmental variety than the entirety of 2016. Like, you start off in this very, like, religious hell priest base, break out, all of a sudden you are on hell-covered Earth. You get teleported to space. You're going through, like, sci-fi environments. Like, you're constantly moving through stuff. But kind of the thing that impressed me the most about this game was how it expanded your tool sets and, like, really makes you think about the encounters. Like, they expanded mobility, so now there's double jumping, there's air dashing, grappling hooks, climbing. So there's a lot more in between the big arena encounters that, like, 2016 was known for. But in those big encounters, you really have to watch your resources more than you ever did in 2016. So, like, in this demo I played, ammo was extremely low. So you really needed to use the chainsaw, which, when you use the chainsaw, you get a ton of ammo. But you had to pay attention to how much fuel that you had, which enemies you were going to use it on. Were you going to save it for a bigger enemy to kind of remove them from the field, get some extra ammo? Or were you going to just use it on one of the really small, like, fodder enemies, so that you could stay in the enemies have weak points now. And one of the ones, so, like, the the Arachnotron has a big turret on its back. And the turret's really hard to destroy with your regular shots. You need to use the weapon mod in order to take that out. You need to use the shotgun sticky grenades or the, like, zoom in sniper shot on the heavy assault rifle in order to take off that turret. And then all of a sudden, this enemy that was once a really powerful enemy loses its most powerful attack. So, like, you're constantly moving extremely fast, switching weapons, switching mods, deciding when to use your power weapons to gain resources, and, like, constantly prioritizing enemies. Like, there's a lot of things that I noticed, like, in just watching it, like, with some of the environmental design and HUD design that I didn't really like too much because I thought it looked very video gamey. Not that Doom isn't video gamey, but, like,
I was about to say, because Doom is, like, the definition of a video game.
There's hanging, glowing power-ups now. Like, whereas, 2016 had more kind of, okay, this is a pile of ammo in the corner kind of thing. But, like, as I played it, I realized that it was all to facilitate how they've evolved the gameplay. It's so that you can immediately see something, recognize it, know what it's going to be, and decide what you're going to do with it. It's a really active game in a way that I wasn't expecting. 2016 was known for fast action, but, like, you didn't have to use most of the weapon mods. I barely ever used the chainsaw and stuff. Whereas, like, every single thing in your arsenal now is something that you need to keep track of. It was so much fun. And obviously the music ruled. Mick Gordon did not let us down.
Mick Gordon's he's a master, dude.
Yeah, so I'm very excited for this game. I do not think that if you enjoyed Doom 2016, you're going to be let down by Doom Eternal. I had a blast playing. And fun note, that demo blew the fuses the first time I sat down to play it. because they had a bunch of rigs set up, basically in a combination pub comedy club, and Doom Eternal blew the fuse. So I got back in line and got to play it again, which actually worked out really well because then I knew how to get through the early parts real quick and I could skip the cutscenes and stuff. So I got a bit farther than a lot of other people did. But yeah, it was so much fun. It's out next week. It's out on my birthday. I'm treating myself to Doom Eternal for my birthday.
Treat yourself, man. Get that shit. You need,
I'm really excited for that game, and I'm really glad I got the chance to play it because I basically passed out as soon as I was done.
it's so poetic that this was the last. As soon as I was this is the last game you got to play.
Like my appointment to play this was kind of what got me through. So, after that was when I kind of got very sick for the rest of the show. But yeah, Doom Eternal is unsurprisingly very good.
So we're bumping up against an hour and a half here, so I want to throw out a few quick housekeeping items. Once again, thank you to everybody who has supported us to the point where we got to do our first ever PAX panel. It will not be our last PAX panel, I assure you. We are very much looking forward to what we're going to do next. And the next time we do a PAX panel, every single member of the podcast who is at PAX will be on the panel, if they want to be. So it's going to be a true SDGC panel next time. Two quick notes I want to make. One, I know that everybody is really stressed out right now about what's going on with COVID-19. Unfortunately, of course, I can't magically make the virus disappear, but what I will tell everybody is in our Discord, we have a venting channel. If you are in our Discord and you need to talk about things that are stressing you out or worrying you, please go to the venting channel and you can talk about it there. My DMs are open specifically if people need to talk. Of course, the Nightbot just dropped the link to the SDGC community Discord right there.
I'm also currently asking for feedback on something with the community, but I'm pretty confident that tomorrow we're going to go forward with creating a specific section that is just
a good times
positivity. The whole Discord's not gonna be like that. Like, there's obviously room to have like serious discussions in there too, but we're gonna have a specific section of the Discord set aside where if you just like can't fucking deal with Twitter, if you can't fucking deal with any other Discords, if you can't deal with anything else, and you literally just want like cat pictures, pleasant news stories, and nice encouraging words, like that's all that's gonna be in there. We're currently figuring out the best way to structure that so that it doesn't take away from so it doesn't turn the whole rest of the Discord into a negativity zone.
Exactly.
But I believe that's something that we're going to go forward with experimenting with tomorrow. So if that's something that you just need right now, I know I saw a lot of people on my timeline specifically today just like very overwhelmed with just like,
it's scary out there. It's bad. This last week has been the longest year of my life.
Well, and like just also a huge shout out to Reb for just kicking ass with the Discord.
I don't do anything. It's the mods.
You and the mods.
We have a wonderful mod team, and several of them are in the chat.
Yeah, it is.
Appreciate them
like
so.
100% Dio, Kogasu, Lena, and Rar. It's them. I don't do shit. I sit back. And occasionally I make a difficult decision, and that's like literally all I do. So they're all of it.
Our Discord is more populated and more and just better than I could have expected. And I'm very thankful for that. I also want to give, because I know she's listening right now, I want to send a special hello to my very good friend Liana Ruppert. And just to let everybody know and kind of drive the point home, here on SDGC we stand with Liana. And that is not going to change. Liana, we love you, and we know you've had a rough time of it, but you've always got a home here in SDGC, whether or not you want to be in the chat or our Discord, or if you just need to talk to anybody. You've got friends and family here, and that is not going to change.
You all do.
Yep, absolutely. So does anybody have anything they want to get off the chest before we sign off here?
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna plug something real quick. So originally, our good friend of the show, couple friends of the show, Mr. Cam Koenig, and Mr. Nate. I actually don't know your last name. You're just two-headed giant. Cam and Nate, we're gonna do a panel at Kansas City Comic Con. I was gonna be on it like in the very early stages of planning it, but it wasn't. I couldn't be on it because I was going to go to GDC instead. Their panel's based off of it's Nathan Gamer. Their panel was based off their show, the New Entertainment System podcast, which a number of us have guested on at this point. I have, Derek has, I believe John is going to or has already, one of those two
I
things.
wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't able to because we drove over a fucking screwdriver on the highway.
Right, yeah.
But
the premise of their podcast is that they have a robot that combines a bunch of dumb ideas and spits out stupid ideas for video games. It's fucking hilarious. Go listen to it. It's like one of the best ideas for a podcast I've ever heard. Anyway, they were gonna have a panel. We're gonna have, if you know them, Ray Apollo and then Brock Wilbur were gonna be on it, and they were gonna roll a bunch of stupid game ideas and just do this panel. So Kansas City Comic-Con got canceled. I do not know what day they are going to be doing this, but they have announced that they are going to be live streaming what that panel was going to be. And they've invited me to join them for that now that I'm not going to non-GDC and I'm going to be staying in Kansas City. So yeah, follow at the NES Pod on Twitter and keep an eye on that. Their podcast is fun as shit, and this panel is going to be fun as shit. I don't know when or what it's going to be. They're still working that out. Be patient with them. It's been a hellish week. But they do good shit, and you should pay attention to them. That's my plug.
I do pay attention to them. Plus, Nathan's got those amazing lights in his setup there.
Nate has a fucking good setup. I am jealous as hell of that whole setup.
As our friend Nintendon would say, every time he flips those lights on, it's a real pro gamer move. Every single time he does that. I hate myself. Anyway, if that's
Brant,
all
Nathan
anybody,
Brant,
what,
sorry,
what was that, Reb?
It's Brant. It's Nathan Brant. I don't know Nate's last name because I just never had any reason to know that.
I'm sorry, but he is Nathan Gamer and Cam is Dr. Respect now. So that's a whole other story.
I got the other shout out. Congrats and farewell to Constantly Calibrating, and best of luck to Bear Punch Media on their future exploits.
Yeah. Josh and Justin are going to do some great stuff.
Yeah, they have been good friends of ours for a while.
For a while now. Yeah.
Lovely.
All right. Well, if nobody has anything else, as always, it's not always poetry, and we don't always agree, but we always keep it real. So until next week. Be on the lookout for my Trials of Mana impressions on Monday. We've got some more pre-recorded content that Zach and Maddie did. And that's going to be dropping soon. And yeah.
Gareth Coker interview at GamesIndustry.biz tomorrow morning.
Be on the lookout for that. Take care, everybody.